A few hours before my wedding, I got a message from my brother. Don't go to your wedding. Check your wife's closet. At first, I thought it was a joke, some last-minute prank. But when I opened the closet door, I was speechless. Let me rewind, but just a little, because this story doesn't start with love. It starts with a lie, with a closet, and with the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. It was 2:46 p.m. My tux was hanging, pressed and ready, in the hallway. I just finished trimming my beard when my phone buzzed. Mike, my older brother. A single message, no emojis, no LOL, no second guess. Don't go to your wedding. Check your wife's closet. My stomach tightened like someone clenched it with ice-cold hands. My first instinct. It's Mike being dramatic again. He hated Melissa from the beginning. Said she was a performer. Said her smiles didn't touch her eyes. I defended her. Again and again. But something about that message hit differently. Maybe it was the timing. Maybe it was the way he capitalized wife. I walked into the hallway. Her apartment. Our place. Or it was about to be. I stared at the closet for maybe 30 seconds. My hand hovered over the knob like it was wired to a bomb. Then I opened it. At first glance, nothing. Her heels. A few coats. The pink robe she always wore on Sundays when she pretended to read. Then I noticed a duffel bag, black, unzipped. I pulled it down. Inside were things that didn't belong. Men's cologne. Boxers, not mine. A gold chain with the name, Brandon, etched across it. My vision tunneled. My throat went dry. But I didn't yell. Not yet. I dug deeper. Condom wrappers. A motel key card. And a folded piece of paper. Room 214. Today's date. 3 p.m. I checked my watch. 2:53 p.m. That's when everything inside me flipped. I wasn't standing anymore. I was moving. No idea how I got in the car. No idea how the keys ended up in the ignition. All I knew was that I was going to that motel. And God help me if I saw what I thought I was going to see. The place wasn't far. It was the kind of roadside dump you don't glance at twice. Red bricks, green curtains, peeling paint. I slammed the door and ran up the stairs 2 at a time. Room 214. Voices inside. A woman's laugh. Her laugh. I stood there for a second. Frozen. I knew what was happening behind that door. I knew. But hearing it? Hearing the breathy whispers, the sound of the mattress springs. I knocked once. Hard. Silence. A scuffle. Footsteps. Then the door creaked open. Melissa. In nothing but a towel. Wet hair. Red cheeks. And the look on her face? Not guilt. Not panic. Annoyance. What the hell are you doing here? She hissed like I was the one cheating. You're not supposed to be here. That's what she said to me. On our wedding day. Standing half naked in a cheap motel room. Looking like I'd just interrupted her massage. Then he appeared behind her. Shirtless. Tattoos. Gold chain. Brandon. The guy I'd met twice. Once at her gym. Once at her cousin's birthday. She said he was just a friend. That I was being paranoid. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. At them. Are you seriously making a big deal out of this right now? She scoffed. You're overreacting. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It wasn't joy. It was the kind of laugh that comes from the edge of a cliff. Overreacting. I said, stepping back. I found your go bag, Melissa. You packed for a honeymoon with him. She didn't flinch. Better than spending my life with a boring little watchdog like you, she sneered. And that's when it hit me. I hadn't lost a wife. I'd dodged a goddamn missile. I turned around and walked away. The cold air hit harder than her words, but I didn't stop. Not once. Until my phone buzzed again. Another message from Mike. You think that's bad? Check her garage. I stopped. Her garage? I knew I shouldn't. I knew it would just make everything worse. But I had to know. And brother, when I opened that garage door, everything I thought I knew about betrayal, it got 1,000 times darker. When I pulled up to her house, my hands were trembling on the steering wheel. The garage was tucked in behind the side gate, detached from the house, like some kind of secret bunker. It had always given me a weird feeling, like something was off. She never let me park there. Said it was full of boxes. I was so damn blind. I killed the engine. Got out. The wind had picked up, and for some reason, it made everything quieter. Like the world itself was holding its breath. I walked up, reached for the key I still had, slid it into the lock, turned. It clicked. The door creaked open slowly. There was no light inside, just a single dusty window that caught a sliver of sunlight. And what I saw wasn't boxes. It was a whole damn setup. Mattress on the floor. Red bed sheets. pillows, a small table, empty wine bottles, candles used, handcuffs, a Bluetooth speaker, her gym bag in the corner, lingerie. It was a full-blown hideaway. She was using our engagement period to build a damn love nest in her garage. That was when I saw the photos, pinned to the wall, dozens of them. Her and Brandon. Her and some other guy I didn't even recognize. All shirtless. Some stills from videos. My heart dropped into my stomach when I saw one with her wearing my shirt, the one I lost last summer, and she swore she hadn't seen. She wore it for him. I felt sick. My stomach twisted. My legs buckled. I sat down on a crate, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Everything I believed, everything I thought was real, was a stage, a performance, and I'd been clapping like a damn idiot. I picked up one of the bottles. Merlot, her favorite. She told me she hadn't drunk in months to cleanse before the wedding. Lies. All lies. I left the garage door wide open when I walked out. Let the neighbors see. Let the world see. I didn't care anymore. By the time I got back to my apartment, my tux was still hanging. My best man, Kevin, had called 5 times. I didn't answer. My mom had left a voicemail saying how beautiful Melissa looked at the rehearsal. I didn't listen. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall for a long time. Then I texted her one sentence. You should probably cancel the venue. She replied instantly. Oh wow. Real mature. That's it. No denial. No apology. No begging. She didn't even ask what I saw. And that told me everything I needed to know. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Because if I did, I knew I'd say something I'd regret. An hour later, Kevin showed up at my place. He had no idea what was going on. He just saw my missed calls and freaked out. I showed him the pictures. His face went white. Bro, what the F? How long? I don't know. Long enough to decorate a garage with it. He put a hand on my shoulder. Want me to call everyone? Tell him it's off. I nodded. That night, I sat alone. No fiancé. No wedding. Just me, my thoughts, and the crushing silence of betrayal. But I wasn't broken. Not yet. Something inside me, some part of me I didn't know was even alive, was starting to burn. And it wasn't sadness. It was rage. The kind that doesn't scream. The kind that plans. The next morning, I woke up on the couch with my tie still around my neck, half a bottle of whiskey on the floor, and a voicemail from Melissa. I didn't want to hear her voice. I hated that I still recognized it as something that used to make me feel safe. But I pressed play. Look, this is just stupid, she began, her voice calm, annoyed, fake. You're acting like some kind of victim, and it's pathetic. If you were more of a man, maybe I wouldn't have had to find someone who actually made me feel alive. You ruined everything because of your insecurity. So congrats. Then she laughed. She laughed. The sound went through me like a blade. I deleted the message before she could finish, got up, splashed cold water on my face, and stared at my reflection. I didn't see a groom who got left behind. I saw a man who was done being fooled. I called Mike. He picked up immediately. You good? He asked. No, but I need to know everything. There was a pause. Then he told me. He'd followed her once, a couple months back. Said he saw her outside the gym, getting into Brandon's car. They didn't go to a restaurant or a movie. They went straight to that motel. He tried to confront her that night, but she blew him off. Stay out of it, Mike, she had told him. It's not your business. He kept it to himself, hoping I'd figure it out before it was too late. But the wedding date came fast, and when he saw the pattern repeating, the weird texts, the missed calls, the overnight girls' trips, he couldn't stay quiet. So he sent the message. He saved my life. That afternoon, I drove to her place. I didn't knock. I still had a key. She was home, in a tank top and shorts, eating cereal like nothing happened. She looked up, rolled her eyes. Oh, you again. I shut the door behind me. Don't worry. I'm not here to win you back, I said. I just need to hear it. From your mouth. She gave me a smug little smile and leaned on the counter. Fine. You want it. I never loved you. You were a stepping stone. You were sweet, harmless, had a decent job, and, at the time, you looked like a safe bet. I stayed silent. My hands balled into fists, but I didn't move. Brandon, she said, as if reading my thoughts. He gave me attention. He made me feel good. Not like you. Always watching, always worried I'd leave. Guess what? You were right. I didn't flinch. Who else? I asked. She laughed. Please. You think it was just Brandon? You're dumber than I thought. Something inside me snapped. Not violently. Not with shouting. But in a colder way. I pulled the folder from my jacket and placed it on the table. What's that? She asked. Photos. From your garage. From your motel dates. From your texts. All of it. I had copies made. I figured Brandon might like to know how many side acts were playing in his little drama. She stood up, face turning pale. You wouldn't. I stared right through her. Try me. Then I pulled out another paper. A legal one. Annulment. Filed this morning. Her eyes narrowed. You really think you're going to come out of this looking good? I don't care how I look. I care that you're out of my life. I turned around, walked out, and slammed the door harder than I ever had before. As I walked to my car, I saw her neighbor, Mrs. Turner, standing at her mailbox. She raised her eyebrows. Wedding's off, I take it. I nodded. She gave me a sad smile. Took you long enough, honey. That hit harder than I expected. And it wasn't even noon yet. I didn't go home after that. I drove. For hours. No destination. Just street after street, trying to outpace the sick feeling in my gut. The kind of feeling that crawls under your ribs and settles in like it owns the place. I ended up in some gas station parking lot off the highway. The kind of place where no one asks questions and everyone's just trying to be invisible. I sat there with the engine running, watching people come and go. Families. Couples. A teenage girl laughing with her dad while they filled up on snacks. For a second, I thought about the version of my life that was supposed to exist today. A wedding. A wife. Vows. Dancing. Maybe tears, but the good kind. Instead, I had handcuffs in a garage, motel key cards, and a woman who looked me dead in the face and said she never loved me. Like it was nothing. I punched the steering wheel. Not once. Not twice. I hit it until my hand went numb. And then I just stopped. Let the ache sit there. That night, Kevin texted me. Want to come over? We got beer and Mario Kart. I ignored it. I didn't want comfort. I didn't want to laugh. I didn't want to be okay. Not yet. I needed to sit in it. I drove back to the apartment. Everything inside was still how I left it. The tux. The RSVP cards. The playlist we'd made together. She picked half of the songs. Now every one of them made my skin crawl. There was a knock at the door. I opened it, expecting Mike. It was Brandon. He stood there, fists clenched, breathing hard. You sent me photos, he growled. Yup, I said unmoved. He stepped closer. That was low, man. You were screwing my fiancée. In a garage. In a motel. With handcuffs. So yeah, I thought you'd want a souvenir. He flinched at that. Good. You don't know what she told me, he said. I don't care. She said you were emotionally abusive. That you were paranoid, obsessed with controlling her. I let out the coldest laugh of my life. And yet, the control freak never once told her not to build a backyard brothel. He didn't say anything. I stepped closer. Let me guess. She told you you were the only one? That you two were special? His jaw tightened. Check the timestamp on the motel photos. Now look at the ones in the garage. Different days. Different guys. She's been feeding the same story to everyone. Including you. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I leaned in. You're not her exception, Brandon. You're her routine. He backed up. No more threats. No more anger. Just confusion. Like his whole world just tipped on its axis. Get off my porch, I said. He left. I closed the door and leaned against it. For a second, I felt something close to power. Not peace, but control. I hadn't had that in weeks. Maybe longer. The next morning, I woke up to an Instagram tag. Melissa had posted a picture of herself, sipping champagne, in a bikini. Caption, dodged a bullet, nail polish, medium light skin tone, hashtag free at last. There were likes. Comments. Friends cheering her on. I scrolled through them, feeling nothing. Not rage. Not sadness. Just emptiness. Then I took a breath and posted something of my own. Just a black screen with white text. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Today was supposed to be my wedding. Instead, it's the day I got my freedom back. I hit post. 3 minutes later, Melissa called. I let it ring, then sent it to voicemail. She texted, "You're being dramatic." I blocked her. Later that day, Mike came over with 2 beers and a baseball bat. What's the bat for? I asked. He smiled. You still have that box of her crap? Let's go play demolition derby in the backyard. I laughed. A real one this time. We took the box out behind the garage, set up an old punching bag, and hung her framed engagement photo on it. Then we smashed every damn thing, one by one. And when the dust settled, I looked at the shattered glass, the ripped photo, the broken necklace, and realized this was the beginning of something, not an end. The morning after the backyard demolition, I woke up feeling like my ribs had more space inside them, like something toxic had finally been ripped out. I made coffee, black and bitter, and watched the steam curl into the air. No tucks, no vows, no fake smiles. Just silence. And for the first time in weeks, it wasn't suffocating. I checked my phone out of habit. No new texts, no missed calls. Melissa was gone from every inbox, every friend list, every contact. Like I'd surgically removed a tumor, and now the wound was healing in open air. But healing doesn't mean peace. Not right away. By noon, I started getting messages from her friends. The fake ones. The ones who smiled at me at brunch and called me the stable one. Suddenly, they were sliding into my DMs with lines like, "I don't want to take sides, but," or, "I just think you could have handled it more privately." Privately, she was doing matinee performances in motel rooms and setting up garage rendezvous, and I was supposed to what? Send her a fruit basket and a thank you note? I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Every second they spent defending her said more about them than it ever did about me. That night, I did something stupid. I looked through old photos. Not because I missed her, I didn't. I missed the idea I'd been clinging to. I missed the man I used to be before she made me question everything I felt. There was a photo from last Christmas. Me in a red sweater, her on my lap, kissing my cheek. Her hand was in my hair. I zoomed in. Her eyes weren't looking at me. She was looking at someone behind the camera. I dropped the phone. My skin prickled. All this time, the signs were there. She didn't lie like a pro. She just knew I was too loyal to see it. The next day, I met with the lawyer. We sat in a cold office with leather chairs that tried too hard to feel powerful. "Annulment is clean," he said. "No shared assets. No joint accounts. No prenup, but luckily, you dodged that." He slid the paper across the table. "Once you sign this, it's done." I stared at it. My full name, printed above hers. The same names that would have been announced at the altar. I didn't hesitate. I signed. As I stood to leave, he said, "You're one of the lucky ones. You caught it before it ate you alive." I didn't answer, but I knew he was right. On the way home, I stopped at the gym. I hadn't been in weeks. My body felt slow, rusted, but I needed to sweat the rest of her out of me. I lifted heavier than usual. Every rep carried her voice, her laugh, that motel door creaking open. I pushed it out. Again. When I got home, there was a box by the door. No name. No note. Inside, the watch I gave her for our anniversary, the his and hers mugs we'd ordered, and a single red lace bra. I stared at it for a second, then tossed it all straight into the trash. 10 minutes later, Mike called. "You won't believe what I just saw." He texted me a screenshot of Melissa's newest story. Her in a silk robe. Caption: "Men come and go, but bad betches stay on top. Kissmark #unbothered #queenenergy**. I laughed harder than I'd laughed in days. Then I reposted it on my story. Right above it, I added, "Royalty doesn't need motels." 5 minutes later, her account went private. She blocked me. Perfect. That night, Kevin dragged me out to a bar. Said I needed to remember what it felt like to be around normal people who didn't live double lives in garages. The bar was loud. Pool tables. Cheap beer. Neon signs. I hated it at first. Then I met her. A bartender named Haley. Sharp eyes. No bullshit *T. She made me laugh twice in 10 minutes and didn't ask me what I did or why I looked like I'd been emotionally tasered. She just served the drinks and kept the sarcasm flowing. When I left, she said, "You look like a guy who's been hit by a freight train." I smirked. More like dragged under it. "Well," she said, tossing me a napkin with her number. "If you ever crawl out from under, give me a call." I didn't promise anything. I didn't make a move. I just nodded and left. But for the first time in a long time, the night didn't feel cold. A few days passed. No more calls. No messages. Nothing from Melissa. The silence was no longer heavy. It was golden. The wedding guests had stopped texting. The flowers had been canceled. The refund for the venue was already processed. Everything tied to her was dissolving, piece by piece. And the weirdest part? I wasn't mourning it. I was watching it burn like old garbage on the curb. One afternoon, I came home from work to find a car parked in my spot. It was hers. I stood there for a second, keys in hand, pulse rising. I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to hear her. I had nothing left to give her but indifference. Still, I went inside. And there she was, sitting on the couch, legs crossed, like she lived there. "Melissa," I said, calm and flat. "Get out." She turned slowly, like she expected something different. Pity, maybe. Regret. But I had none of it left. "I came to talk," she said, like that meant something. "We've already talked. You said I was pathetic and boring. You said Brandon made you feel alive. So go feel alive. Somewhere else." Her face flickered. The mask slipped for half a second. Then she tried again. "I was angry. You blindsided me. Made me look like a whore in front of everyone." I stared at her. "You are a whore. You just didn't expect the audience." She flinched. "Finally. I made mistakes," she said, quieter now. "But maybe we rushed things. Maybe we—" I stepped forward. "No. You made decisions. You planned them. You scheduled motel check-ins like meetings. You decorated a second home in your garage. You weren't confused. You were committed." She stood now, defensive, arms folded. "You think you're the only one who's hurt? You think I didn't suffer? I was drowning too. And instead of asking for a life vest, you dragged everyone else under with you." I said. Silence. She looked at me like she wanted to slap me. Or kiss me. I couldn't tell. And I didn't care. Then she smiled. Not the cute smile she used to get her way. This one was sharp. "You'll never find someone like me again," she said. I laughed once. "That's the point." I opened the door. She walked past me, muttering something under her breath I didn't catch. I didn't want to. I closed the door behind her, locked it, and this time, I didn't feel the urge to scream. I felt clean. Later that night, I found the napkin with Haley's number still in my coat pocket. I stared at it, ran my thumb over the ink. Then I texted, "Still got that freight train special on tap?" She replied a minute later, "Only if you tip better than you heal." I laughed, and for the first time in weeks, it didn't feel forced. We met for coffee the next evening. No pressure, no games. Just two people talking like they weren't broken inside. She didn't ask about Melissa. She just looked me in the eye and asked me what I was doing next. I didn't know, and I told her that. She smiled. Good. People who act like they know everything right after getting wrecked are liars. I liked her already. We talked for 3 hours, then walked to our cars. No kiss. No promises. Just an understanding. Something real might live here, but only if we built it slow, honest, and without ghosts. As I got into my car, I saw a notification flash on my phone. Melissa had emailed me. Subject line, "Last chance." I didn't open it. I just hit delete. Then I turned the key in the ignition and drove forward, with nothing in the rear view but smoke. A week later, I was sleeping better. Eating again. The world no longer looked like it was coated in ash. I wasn't fully okay. Hell no, but I was functional. Present. The rage was cooling, like iron after the hammering. And in that quiet heat, I was starting to feel something close to power. One night, I went to Haley's bar. Not to chase anything. Just to sit, breathe, and remind myself I still existed outside of what Melissa tried to reduce me to. She saw me from across the counter, gave me that smirk that never tried too hard. "You back already?" she said, pouring something amber without me asking. "I was in the neighborhood." "Sure you were," she said, sliding the glass toward me. We talked for a while. She was blunt, funny, didn't sugarcoat anything. When I told her Melissa showed up at my place unannounced, she didn't gasp or overreact. "She's not trying to win you back," she said, sipping soda. "She's trying to keep you orbiting her. You're a moon she doesn't want to lose, even if she never plans to land." That stuck with me. Hard. Later, as the bar thinned out and the music turned soft, she leaned in and said, "Want to see something?" She took me to the back room, past the employee lockers, and opened a door to a rooftop staircase. Up there, the city looked soft, blurry, like the scars didn't matter from a distance. "I come up here when I want to scream, but don't want people to hear it," she said, sitting on the edge. I joined her. Neither of us screamed. We just sat. She didn't touch my hand. I didn't lean on her shoulder. It was quiet, and that quiet was more intimate than anything I'd felt in months. The next morning, I got another message. Not from Melissa this time, from Brandon. Just one line. "You were right. There's another guy." I stared at it for a minute, then typed. There were probably 5. I didn't send it. I deleted the thread and blocked his number. Let him learn the hard way, like I did. I was tired of saving people who never saved me. Later that day, I stopped by my brother Mike's place. He was grilling in the backyard, music blasting, beer already flowing. He handed me a cold one before I even said hi. "You look less dead," he said. feel less dead. He paused. So, you still think about her? I took a sip, stared at the fire. Only when I remember what she almost cost me. He nodded, not pushing. Then he said, you know what I keep thinking about? That day you called me, told me you opened the closet. I've never heard your voice like that. Like something inside you cracked. I remembered it. I remembered the way my throat closed, how my hands shook, how every part of me wanted to vomit or punch something or disappear. That wasn't me cracking, I said. That was me shedding something I should have never carried. Mike smiled. Good. Because if you ever take her back, I swear to God, I'll throw you in that garage myself. We laughed. It felt real. When I got home that night, I saw it. A small envelope under my door. No name. Just, I'm sorry, written on the front in her handwriting. I stared at it for a long time. Then I lit it on fire in the sink. Watched the flames eat it letter by letter. No more conversations. No more explanations. No more chances. A month later, I stood in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. Not in a bad way. The dark circles under my eyes were gone. The tension in my jaw had faded. There was still some weight in my chest, but it wasn't grief anymore. It was fire, focus, clarity. I looked like someone who had been to hell, sat with the devil, and came back with a new set of rules. Melissa was a ghost now. Not the kind that haunts, but the kind you barely remember when you wake up. She existed somewhere in the past, like an old wound that no longer itched. I didn't check her socials. Didn't ask mutuals about her. The chapter was closed, sealed, and buried with the rest of the lies. One night, I walked into Haley's bar again. She smiled without surprise. Was wondering when you'd be back. I sat at the counter. She poured the usual. Still no questions. Just presence. We talked. Laughed. At one point, she looked at me and said, you know, you don't flinch when you talk about her anymore. I thought about it. She was right. She's just a lesson now, I said. And what did she teach you? I finished my drink, leaned back, and let the words come naturally. That you don't lose anything real when someone fake walks away. That love isn't performance, it's presence. That anyone who makes you feel paranoid for trusting your gut is the one with something to hide. Haley raised her glass. To gut instincts. We clinked. Drank. After we closed down the place, we went up to the roof again. This time, she sat closer. Still no promises. No declarations. But something hung in the air between us. Honest. Warm. Quiet. A few days later, I finally cleaned out the last of Melissa's stuff. The final box. Old cards. Pictures. The fake smiles we forced for Instagram. I took it out back, set it in a barrel, and lit a match. It burned fast. While it crackled, I remembered something she'd said during our last fight. You'll never find someone like me again. Good. I didn't want someone like her. I wanted someone better. Someone real. And maybe, just maybe, I'd already met her. If I could go back and speak to the version of me standing in that closet, hands shaking, heart splitting in two, I'd say this. You're not broken. You're waking up. This pain, it's the tax for clarity. And once it's done, you'll breathe fire. You'll rebuild. And you'll never let a woman like her in your world again. That's the thing about betrayal. It teaches you what loyalty really is. And that lesson is worth every scar.